ditch the trends and focus on the simple things when it comes to the gym. Did you know that most women aren't actually inconsistent? They are simply dysregulated and unsupported. Women were rarely included in research studies until the 1990s, and they've also just stopped doing that recently. So I'm here to tell you that we're not really supported, and fitness culture, gym culture is catered toward men. I got my degree in exercise science, and I'm here to tell you that most of those studies were done on men. If a woman was menstruating, that just ruled her out of the study. So today, I want to talk about fitness. I want to talk about embodying your anatomy through confidence in the gym. And I'm going to give you some tangible tips and advice that have really helped me on my fitness journey. And let me tell you, it's a journey. And that's how it is for women because we are so under-supported. But I've found that structures and I've found that systems have really helped me stay grounded in my goals, in my vision, in my journey through fitness, through health, through wellness. So without further ado, let's get into it, besties. This is your sister, the doctor. Okay, so if you're listening to this podcast, likely you are a health conscious girly, just like I am. And likely you do go to the gym from time to time, but you have a good idea of what you should be doing. You have had a little bit of guidance, but maybe you're not quite confident with what you're doing at the gym. And I'm here to tell you that's totally fine because I think most women feel that way because we weren't really taught how to go about our fitness. Think back to elementary school, the physical fitness tests that we had to do. That didn't really teach us what we need to do to take care of our bodies. Yes, they assessed how fast we could run a mile, how many pull-ups we could do, if we could sit and reach our toes, I don't know. But our education system doesn't support what you actually need in the world of fitness. And then when you go to a conventional gym, maybe it's meathead hour and all the guys are lifting and dropping weights and you're like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have anything to do with that. And then maybe you go to a Pilates class here and there, or maybe you go to a HIIT class here and there, and it feels really inconsistent and you're wondering, what should I actually be doing? So maybe you've heard of progressive overload. Maybe you've heard of high intensity training. Maybe you've heard that lifting might make you bulky. Maybe you've heard that you should be in a calorie deficit or you should be eating a lot of protein. There's so much mixed information out there when it comes to your fitness. So I'm here to break it down for you. Let's just ditch the trends and let me tell you what's worked for me. Let me give you my 2 cents as a physical therapist and as a pelvic floor physical therapist, what I recommend for my patients, what I'm doing for myself, and some big sister advice. Okay, so I'm just going to go through what I wish every single woman knew about embodying their anatomy when it comes to the gym. No particular order, but we're just going to get right into it. So number 1, your breath is connected to everything. And when I mean that, I'm talking your pelvic floor. I'm talking your core. I'm talking your back. I'm talking about the whole movement system. So we've talked about this in previous episodes, but just as a refresher, your breath is the foundation of movement. Proper breathing techniques can enhance your performance. It can make sure that your pelvic floor is being safe. As women, we need to be thinking about our pelvic floor, as men too. Don't even get me started on men's health, but I have a lot of men patients right now, and I think by the time they get to pelvic floor PT, they really need pelvic floor PT. So here's the thing. I teach diaphragmatic breathing, which is belly breathing. So you've got your lungs, you've got your diaphragm, which is a breathing muscle, you've got your pelvic floor, you've got your transverse abdominis, you've got your back muscles. So all of this creates a canister. So when I say canister, I'm talking about your intra-abdominal pressure. So how you manage pressure will impact pelvic floor symptoms, it'll impact back symptoms, it will impact the way that your core is working. When people say engage your core, what does that mean? In a fitness class, they don't actually tell you what that means. Have you heard transverse abdominis? Probably not in a fitness class, maybe in a fitness class, depending on your instructor. I've always heard the cue, bring your belly button to your spine, but that's not actually activating your transverse abdominis. Activating your transverse abdominis is actually thinking about at the waistline, drawing in, there's a hot zipper on your jeans. Not sucking in, drawing in. That actually co-contracts with the pelvic floor if you were to do a Kegel. Before we even get to Kegels, we need to learn how to breathe so that we know how to relax our pelvic floor. I always compare it to a bicep curl. So if your muscles are really tight and then I say contract, you're not going to go anywhere. You want to be able to relax first and then I say contract, then you can go somewhere. I could go on a tangent about that because I'm a pelvic floor PT, but the point is your breathing matters. Diaphragmatic breathing is crucial for carryover into exercise. Every woman should know how to breathe with their diaphragm. It's good nervous system relaxation. It's a good reset. It's a good way to relax your pelvic floor because we should all know how to do that. When you're working out, you should pair your exhale with the exertion. So think about a bicep curl again. When you're curling, you're exhaling. When you're lengthening, relaxing, you're inhaling. Same thing when you're standing up out of a chair. When you're standing up, you're breathing out, exhale. When you sit back down, you're breathing in, inhale. So learn how to breathe with your exercises. That's step number 1. And don't forget to breathe. Sometimes in yoga, they might cue exercises opposite the way I do, and that's fine as long as you're not having any dysfunction with that. If it's not causing you any pain, any pelvic heaviness, any sort of symptoms. But my biggest thing, what really matters the most to me is, are you breathing or are you holding your breath? And I think as women, as people, we tend to hold our breath a lot, especially when we're doing hard things. And that's a hard habit to break. However, learning the coordination of your breath, being more aware of that you need to breathe in order to decrease that intra-abdominal pressure that you might be creating is really helpful and will ensure that your workouts are both safe and effective. Okay, tip number 2, take a holistic approach to your strength training. And this is also the pelvic floor train, but I want you to think about your core and your glutes. Strong glutes and a strong core are the foundation of your whole trunk, which will impact the rest of your body. It's essential for essentially all movements. Anything functional, you probably need to be engaging your glutes and engaging your core, okay? If you have weak glutes, your pelvic floor might be compensating for that. So maybe you have an overactive pelvic floor because you have weak glutes. Same thing for the core. Maybe you have a weak core, so your pelvic floor is compensating for that. Maybe you have poor posture because your back is compensating for your core strength or your glute strength. So it all goes together. It's so important that we maintain good posture as we're doing exercises to make sure that we are effectively doing our exercises and not causing injury. And this goes into stability of all your joints. So your hips, your shoulders, your upper body, your feet, everything is a full body picture. So it all starts in the pelvic floor and the core, and then we kind of branch out. And it's amazing how so many things are connected. And as a physical therapist, I see this in my patients every single day. And I love what I do because it's like looking at a puzzle. We find something that's dysfunctional and then we bring it back into function and then things start working again. And then we want to think about mobility as well. So being able to move a joint through a range of motion, having that flexibility, having that mobility will increase the effectiveness of your workout. Because if you aren't mobile and you can't move it through a certain range of motion, then you're not going to be able to strengthen that muscle effectively. Think of all the muscles like a symphony, an orchestra. They all have a role and they all need to be doing their job for everything to run smoothly, for the music to sound good. It's a performance. And that's how movement can be compared to art. So we're going back into the art of movement and embodying your anatomy. Okay, so a holistic approach to strength was my main point. It's a little all over the place. So number 1, we got to think about our breath. 2, we got to think about a holistic approach to strengthening. And then number 3, consistency over variety. And this one is hard, especially for girls who want to do it all. The girls who want to be a Pilates princess and the girls who want to be a gym rat and the girls who want to go to the HIIT classes and go rock climbing and go do all the things. That's me. I love group fitness. I love doing it all. I love a variety. I get bored, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I need you to understand that you are not going to meet your goals. You are not going to meet your goals if you're bouncing from class to class and you're not being consistent. Okay, there are some trendy classes out there like Solid Core, if you've ever heard of that. It's like an intense reformer Pilates. Eventually, chasing all these trendy classes will, number 1, lead to burnout. Number 2, you're not really going to see any improvement because you're switching up your workout so often. Your body needs a consistent challenge, and research shows that progressive overload is really how you're going to gain strength. And sticking to a program and kind of doing the same exercises, even if they feel redundant, that is how you're going to make improvement, by being consistent. So consistency over variety. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, and that doesn't mean that you could never branch out and try something new or switch up your workout routine. Just give your workout routine a chance to cycle through at least doing a month of the same program and then maybe switch it up. That's why athletes go through different training phases. So maybe they're working on their endurance at one point, and then maybe they're working on their power at one point, and maybe they're working on their strength at one point, so that there is an end goal for each phase that they are training in. So if your goal is to lose weight, then you need to be consistent with the strength training you're doing, the cardio that you're doing. If your goal is to run a marathon, you need to be consistent with your running routine. If your goal is to build strength, you need to be participating in progressive overload, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, and then this goes with number 4. Simplicity is key when it comes to strength training. So let me tell you, all the fancy schmancy compound movements and creative exercises, although they may be fun and trendy and flashy, they're not going to be any better than the simple stuff. Literally don't overthink it, okay? So in the lifting world, you've got your bench press, you've got your squats, you got your deadlifts. Those are like your core movements. Think about doing an exercise for every part of your body, every major muscle group. So we've got biceps, we've got triceps, we've got back, you got rear delt, you've got your glutes, you've got your quads, you got your hamstrings, you got your calves, you got your core. So go through all the major muscle groups and pick a simple strength training exercise for that. Think simple and effective. For example, for legs, a simple, really watered down, but good leg program would be doing some squats, like a compound movement, and then moving to a single leg movement, like a Bulgarian split squat, and then doing some accessories like quad strength. You're going to do a leg extension. For hamstring, you're going to do a hamstring curl. For calves, you're going to do a calf raise. For hamstrings, another compound movement would have been like a deadlift. That was literally my boyfriend's leg routine I think it still is his leg routine. But my point is, that's simple and effective. And of course, as women, we probably want to do a little bit more legs than that. However, my point is, don't overthink it. If you want to do a trendy leg workout here and there, that's totally fine. Like, I have a go-to exercise that I really love. It's called a cable cross down kick, and it's like super fancy. I love it because it makes my booty burn. But like, I don't have to do that. That's just like extra. You find a couple exercises that you'll stay consistent with, even if they're trendy, throw it into your program. But stick to the basics. Stick to your hinging, your squatting, your pressing, and your pulling. That's a good way to split it up too. If you wanted to do 4 days a week, you could do one of each, or you could do 2 days a week or 3 days a week, depending on your goals. I think most women would rather do 2 leg days and an upper body day, or 1 leg day, 1 upper body day, 1 full body day. But the minimum requirements for strength training is every major muscle group at least twice a week. So there you have it. Okay. And then if you're avoiding the complexity, you can focus on good form. And good form is crucial to making gains in the gym. So let's not complicate it. Okay. And then keeping a list. Tracking your exercises, okay, is crucial. Create a favorite exercise list on your phone. Use an app that tracks your exercises. Create like a workout journal if you need to. I literally have a page in my notes app that has my exercise routine in it, and then I can write down what my progress is. I can write a little motivational quote at the top. I can do whatever I want, but creating a list to keep in your phone, maybe put some reminders in there, like maybe some of the reminders that you've learned from this episode. It's just nice to have quick access to, and I have that note pinned at the top of my phone. I also use a tracker workout app recently. I've been getting into that. So if you're somebody who likes to track data on an app, there's a really great app for it. It's called Heavy, Hevy. It's a really good app. And it's free. We love free. Okay. And then the next point. This one's going to also hurt a little bit, guys. Structure over motivation. Because motivation is fleeting. We know why we want to work out. We know our purpose, right? We're high achieving women. We know that we want to work out to improve our bodies for the longevity of our life, for our future kids. We know that we have a reason to work out. We know the benefits. We know what we need to do. We need to keep our workout simple, not overthink it, show up. But where do we fall off? Why is it so hard to be consistent? And it's lack of structure, especially when your structure is so rigid that if you have an off day, you can't get back on. And I just want you to sit with that for a minute because it's true. So this literally just happened to me a few weeks ago. And what happened was I was PMSing, guys. I'm not going to lie. I was PMSing. And then the next day, I got my period. And then the next day, something came up and I have to go run this errand instead of go to the gym. And then the next day, it becomes an excuse. But instead of pivoting and saying, okay, I can't commit to this today, maybe let me show up for a 15 to 30 minute workout. I just said, I'll push it off until tomorrow. And I'm telling you guys, that is a mistake because we can let ourselves fall into these cycles of I'll get to it later, especially when you're a high achieving woman. Because let me tell you, everyone else and everything else is more important than our bodies because our routine might go onto the back burner, which if that's you, then I totally get it. I totally get it because it happens to me too. So in order to combat this, make yourself a regular workout schedule and then make yourself an abbreviated workout schedule. So maybe, for example, if your goal is to go to the gym 5 days out of the week, make yourself a modified schedule for 2 to 3 days so that you're not missing out on the gains. You're not losing momentum. Motivation is fleeting until we get inspired again. Sometimes we get this hit of inspiration and we're like, man, I'm going to start tomorrow. But you must be consistent. Stick to it. Yes, you can adjust your plan, but stick to a plan for, I would say, at least a month before you pivot. That's my take on consistency versus motivation. Finding a sustainable routine is key. And there are going to be some weeks where you have a lot of energy and you're going and you're feeling great and you're feeling strong. And then there's going to be weeks where you have no energy and you got your period and you're PMSing or you got sick or you went out of town or you're tired or you missed your alarm one day. Things are going to happen. You're human. You're not perfect. I hate to break it to you. There's no such thing as a perfect workout routine. There's no such thing. So on those days, be kind to yourself and stop making excuses and go do something. Do your movement minimum. Find your movement minimum and find your movement maximum. Maybe create 3 schedules for yourself, depending on your energy level. High energy, middle energy, low energy. You could look at my movement pyramid. It's linked in my bio. Go check it out. Check out that. I think it was episode 3 when we talked about movement. Okay. And then build a support system. So find an accountability buddy. Find somebody who will share habit with you. If you use the app Finch, if you use the app Heavy, you can make friends on there and you post your workouts. It's like social media. Find a friend. Literally just text a friend and say, hey, I'm going to go do my workout now. Be an accountability buddy for someone else too. Okay, next topic. Building confidence in the gym. And there is an exercise that you have not tried yet and you want to go experiment. But it's meathead hour is what I say. Meathead hour is when all the heavy lifters are at the gym. Gym intimidation is real. And I've been there, guys. I used to be a personal trainer at a college gym. And I remember one time I was wearing my trainer shirt and some guy looked at me and was like, how are you a personal trainer? He was a meathead. He's this big, bulky guy. He was benching, I don't know how much. He was probably showing off. He probably wasn't actually benching that much. But my point is, you might have one experience similar to that, and then all of a sudden, you walk into the gym and you don't want to have anything to do with anybody because everybody there is doing their thing. And if you try something new, how dare you? How dare you not know what you're doing? If you are going to go and experiment with equipment, I recommend going at your gym's off time and just have a trial day. You're not actually there to work out, or maybe you are, but go and to simply just go try out the exercises. Make sure that your form's right. Some gyms actually have women's only spaces, which I think is so great. And I wish my gym had that. But yeah, that's what I'd recommend. And trust me, I was there, I was a personal trainer, and I felt gym intimidation. But sometimes you also just have to remember that most of the time people are in their own little world and they don't really care. But at the same time, I completely get it. You don't want to embarrass yourself and it's not fun. Next point, don't skip your warm-up or your cool down, girlies. They matter. I don't care how long your workout is. You should be warming up and you should be cooling down, okay? And we're going to talk about the science. The science of warm-ups. Benefits include increasing your body temperature. It improves your muscle contraction efficiency and elasticity, so it's more flexible, and it lowers the risk of your injury, such as straining. It also helps prime your neuromuscular system. Your nervous system is involved in lifting, and it's strengthening that signal between the brain and the body so that you can efficiently do your workout, so that you have better performance. It also improves your metabolic activity through increased blood flow, increased oxygen to the muscles, and it helps prepare them for exercise demand. And it improves your joint mobility, so moving your joint through a range of motion. Now let's talk about the science of cool downs. This gradually lowers your heart rate, which will prevent any dizziness or fainting. It helps disperse waste product from your metabolism, like lactic acid or whatever. And then static stretching helps relax your muscles, helps them be a better length, helps reduce stiffness. So anyway, basically, there's a lot of benefits, but overall, warming up will help prime your nervous system and will prevent you from straining anything. It helps, say you're going to squat, doing a couple bodyweight squats beforehand can be considered a warm-up. Priming the muscle groups that you're using, so I like to do some clamshells or some adductor strengthening before I squat, just so I can activate those muscles that I'll be using in my squat. And then for cooling down, after a leg day, I had a figure 4 stretch and my glutes feel a lot better, less stiffness. So it also helps prevent injury. Next point, prioritize your rest days, okay? Rest days are crucial for muscle growth. You're not going to make gains unless you're sleeping 8 hours at night, you're drinking water, and you're resting. It also prevents burnout, and it also just encourages you to do things that you like for fun, like going to yoga, stretching, walking. Those are active rest days. Optimal recovery time is 48 hours to 72 hours that you don't want to repeat the same muscle group again. So hypertrophy is muscle repair, which I think most of us know, but if you don't, that's okay. Strength training can cause micro tears in your muscle, and then cells rebuild onto each other, which creates more muscle, which creates hypertrophy, which is what makes you stronger. And then replenishing energy, muscle stores energy through glycogen and carbohydrates, and it uses it for fuel. So if you're not fueling your body properly, you might be training too hard, but rest days help you restore that glycogen. Rest prevents accumulation of damage that leads to injuries like tendinitis or stress fractures. And then hormone balance, cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and too much exercise, cortisol levels can go up. When I say too much exercise, excessive exercise, not taking a rest day. You can bring your hormones back to balance if you take a rest day, essentially, which will help your immunity, and it'll help your inflammation and all these things. And then, of course, mental health. Take a rest day for your mental health, baby. Here's a sign if you need a rest day. If you have delayed onset muscle soreness, which is soreness lasting more than 24 to 48 hours, diminished performance or heavy fatigued muscles, and then reduced motivation, increased insomnia, and mood swings. So athletes should consider a rest day every 7 to 10 days, and intermediate training might be 2 days a week. Generally, muscles need at least 48 hours to recover, and high quality sleep, 7 to 9 hours, is the most effective form of recovery. Let me say it again. 7 to 9 hours of sleep is the most effective form of recovery. And then adequate protein intake and hydration is also crucial for rest days, but for the rest of the week as well. Okay, last tip, effective tracking. So if you have a goal, find something to track, find something measurable, and it doesn't have to be your weight. It doesn't have to be appearance. It could be consistency through photos. It could be tracking the weights that you use. So are you getting stronger? Are you doing more reps? It could be energy levels. It could be circumference measurement if you're going for something more aesthetic. It could be a lot of different things, but find something to track, find something measurable, and stick with it for at least 30 days, and then adjust accordingly. 1 day of tracking is literally just a glimpse, and we need to be tracking consistently. So track every single day so that you can look back and see the whole picture, because each day is such a glimpse. And I actually recently heard that for women, weight loss, your weight fluctuates 5 to 8 pounds of water weight every day, which is actually insane. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're trying to track your weight on the scale, 1 week you might be down a pound. The next week, you might be up 4 pounds. The next week, you might be down 2 pounds. It's a lot of ebb and flow. So give your body grace because number one, they haven't included women in a lot of studies. And number two, we all know that women's bodies are different than men's. And number three, your weight number doesn't really mean anything. It's how you feel in your body. It's your confidence. It's your efficiency with your workouts. It's your energy. It's your mood. So think of something that's meaningful to track to you. So for me, maybe instead of looking at the number of the scale, I am tracking my energy levels every day. Today's a good energy day because I went and worked out, because I rested, because I slept well. So there's so many different things that you can track that doesn't have to be the number on the scale. It doesn't have to be whether your clothes from 5 years ago fit you, because guess what? Your body's going to change over time. And maybe those clothes, you just need a new pair. Remember, your situation is unique to you. You are the expert of you. So do some me search, track what you're doing, and take or leave whatever I said in this episode. If it applies to you, then apply it. If it doesn't, then don't. But if you ever need any advice or you want to talk through anything, let me know. I'm a certified personal trainer. I've been a wellness coach. I'm a physical therapist. I've had at least 10 years of experience in the gym, though it's been inconsistent. I do know what I'm talking about. Remember, your nervous system needs to feel safe as well. Remember that your nervous system is involved in your workouts. So consistency in the gym requires that ventral vagal tone, that safe feeling. We don't want to be in fight or flight. That leads to burnout. That leads to chasing intensity. That leads to overtraining. That leads to, it's the next exercise class that I can sign up for so that I'm staying busy and I'm filling my schedule and maybe I'll get a great summer body by the time May comes around. And stop that, okay? Freeze state, avoidance. I'm going to skip the workout today. I'm going to do it later. I haven't figured out the perfect plan. I'm not there yet. Literally just pick something minimal to do and do that. Consistency requires you to be in that peaceful ventral vagal state. Safety. Your body is safe to work out. A little quick note about progressive overload. Progressive overload is increasing the load every week so that you get stronger. So increasing the load or the weight, lifting heavier weights over time, is one of the most common ways to build strength, but you can also increase the reps and the sets. You can also improve the technique. So working through the range of motion, slowing down, control, doing tempo, time under tension. So working the muscle, counting, eccentric concentric movements by slowing those down. That helps increase the intensity. Decreasing the rest time between lifts, although you should be resting for a few minutes between lifts. That's one of my pet peeves as a physical therapist when I say, do 2 sets of 8 and people just do 16 reps in a row. Take your rest break because your muscles need time to recover and the recovery is just as important as the exercise itself. So with progressive overload, start slowly so that you're preventing injury. Increase your weight or your volume by 10% or less every week. Track everything so that you can track your weight, your sets, your reps. And follow through with proper form. I don't care how small the weight is, make sure that your form is good. Because I'd rather you be lifting really light or with no weight with good form versus bad form. Common mistakes that people make with progressive overload. Too much too soon, which can lead to injury, overtraining, reducing your overall performance. Lack of consistency. You need to show up consistently for the progressive overload to work. And ignoring your recovery. Your recovery is so important. Physiologically, workouts create stress in the body. Lifting weights puts small amounts of stress, small amounts of muscle damage, and increases inflammation on purpose. That is a stimulus to change so that you do have those muscles being built. Your body rebuilds during the recovery, not during the workout. So you need to be recovering. Sleep is the most important part of recovery. Inflammation has to resolve for this to happen. If it stays elevated from stress, lack of sleep, from under eating, that's going to delay the recovery process. So that's going to delay that muscle growth. Your nervous system controls when your body's in go mode versus repair mode. So sympathetic is your fight or flight, parasympathetic is rest or digest. You cannot fully recover when you're in fight or flight. When you're constantly stressed, your body is in survival mode over repair mode, over building muscle mode. So you have less energy toward rebuilding your muscles. You have slower recovery, and you have more fatigue and more burnout. And chronic stress keeps your cortisol levels so high that can break down muscle tissue, that can interfere with your recovery, that can disrupt your sleep. So it's this vicious cycle of us not recovering. Recovery requires a safe nervous system to repair your muscle, to regulate your hormones, to reduce your inflammation. So if your body is constantly in fight or flight, you are not going to be recovering, nor are you going to be getting benefit from your strength training workouts. Just remember, lifting is a skill to be acquired and to be practiced. So repetition is going to build that efficiency and that consistency and that confidence. Just know that your body is learning the motor pattern. It's motor learning. Your body is learning as you're lifting. You're connecting the nervous system, that muscle-mind connection, that brain-body connection through exercise. Just keep it simple. Keep showing up for yourself. Track your progress. And that's how we're not going to overcomplicate the gym. So how do we actually be consistent in the gym? We embody our anatomy through exercise. We focus on what's important. We focus on recovery. We focus on consistency. We focus on showing up for ourselves, but listening to our body at the same time. And we learn to listen to our bodies as women. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. If you liked this one, please give me a follow, hit the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear more of. It means so much to me that you're listening, and I'm so excited to bring you the rest of this season. Feel free to send a voice memo if you have any questions, and I will see you guys all next week. Thank you.